Did the combo of Priyadarshan and Akshay Kumar really hit it out of the park with Bhoot Bangla? Let's talk about it beyond the reel. Welcome to Beyond the Reel, where we look past the surface and talk about what films really leave behind. Take 1 on the screen. Now let's begin with what is presented on the surface level and whether it works or not. Priyadarshan is back at the helm after a long time, reuniting with Akshay Kumar, and you do get that familiar Priyadarshan style chaos in a good way. Now is it spectacular? No, not really, but it does feel reminiscent of his 2000s comedy era with Akshay and others. The story by Akash Kaushik, mind you, who's the same writer as that of Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2 and Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3 and even Houseful 4, along with the screenplay which was written by Abhilash Nair and Rohan Shankar, works overall. Now they try to engage the audience with callbacks to earlier Priyadarshan Akshay films. Some land well while others don't. At times, it feels more like a spiritual successor to Bhool Bhulaiyaa Part 1 than its recent sequels. But unlike Bhool Bhulaiyaa Part 1, the horror here leans more into folklore and actual monsters rather than the psychological thriller the first part really was. Now let's look into the performances. Akshay Kumar feels natural in this role. At times he gets a bit loud, maybe trying to overcompensate, but it doesn't completely break the character. You can see the attempt by him to bring back his 2000s comedy persona. Wamiqa Gabbi does what the role demands, but the visible age gap between the protagonist and her stands out. Maybe casting closer to the protagonist's age, like how Tabu has been paired in a similar role, would have worked better. Paresh Rawal and Rajpal Yadav are genuinely funny in parts, as expected. Some gags land while others are stretched longer than needed. Special mention to the late Asrani ji, who does full justice to his role as always. The highlight was the comedic banter between him and Akshay, which worked very well. Mithila Palkar has a limited role but does fine. Tabu appears briefly, but her role makes an impact. The rest of the cast does their part well. Now let's look into the technical aspects. The film looks very polished, and that's actually where it slightly loses its charm. Older Priyadarshan films had a raw, natural feel which added to their appeal. Here, everything looks a bit too clean and artificial. Now, VFX is still an issue, as with many Indian films. But thankfully, practical effects here balance things out enough not to break the experience. Music by Pritam Da with background score by Ronnie Raphael works as if to echo the Bhool Bhulaiyaa vibe. But overall, the music works and is exactly what is needed, and it is memorable. While compared to recent forgettable albums, the film is produced by Balaji Telefilms and Cape of Good Films. Take 2, Between the Lines. Moving on to what the film is trying to say. The film blends folklore and elements of Hindu mythology in a magical way, creating a decent horror comedy experience. At its core, the story is about two fathers. One consumed by saving his son even if it leads him down a dark path, the other raising his son with love but not supporting his wrongs. This contrast drives the emotional core of the film. What initially looked like a tacky Dracula style concept in the trailer actually turns out better than expected. A reminder not to judge too quickly. The backstory is fairly well thought out. There are minor issues, but overall the scope and intent work. The ending leaves the protagonist in a different place, clearly hinting at a possible sequel to this movie. Take 3, after the fade. As the credits roll, we hear a familiar style theme reminiscent of Bhool Bhulaiya. Not as iconic but still catchy. Now let's move on to some questions and contradictions within the story. The first one is, why the absence of mobile phones, especially when no clear timeline is established? Why give Akshay's character the ability to see ghosts if it barely helps him? Third, what purpose does Wamiqa's character really serve? Were the nostalgic callbacks necessary or overused? Now let's have a look at the narrative dilemma. Would someone really go ahead with a marriage knowing it could lead to the death of your loved one? Even with the justification shown, it feels hard to fully accept. And it raises an interesting thought. Handling a monster might be easier than dealing with an irrational human behavior driven by superstition. Now the film has a good rewatch value and it works both in theaters and later on OTT. Not a masterpiece, but definitely a good and much needed film for Akshay Kumar's recent run. On the Beyond the Reel After Impact scale, Bhoot Bangla earns a 3.5 out of 5. That is, it passes and resonates at parts. If you enjoy film conversations that go deeper than hype, subscribe to Beyond the Reel. Like and share if you enjoyed this review. Got suggestions for what I should review next? Drop them in the comment section down below. I'll see you after the next watch.